listen to our governor, the governor of Anambra State. He too seems to be waking up, but we know we can't trust the politicians because they are the ones that put us in this situation. We are only playing this video for you to know that they know what we're saying, that they're not blind and they're not deaf. It's just that they don't want to do the right thing. And hopefully you will go and make them do the right thing because they lack the sincerity of hearts to do the right thing. But as for them knowing, they know. Sometimes when I post things, they say, oh, who knows about Ninas? Hey, you lie. They're all the details that you don't know, they know. They are the ones sponsoring the freedom fighters. Those are their political thugs. And they will turn around and go and start killing them. So they know. And we're saying, you should know too. Because when you know what I know, then the game will become interesting. Ignorance is not a strategy. Listen as Soludo is a long video. This is the church did a conference or whatever, their church leaders, and he went there to address them, and he put their sins before them, posted it in front of them on the table. So they've heard. Okay, please, Master, please go ahead.
Finally, to your retreat. I'm very excited that you are having this retreat. I missed a chunk of the sermon. But I want to believe, for me, for my own government, we're starting our own retreat on Monday. Monday, Tuesday, we'll be at a retreat. And that's the way to begin a new year, where you're reviewing where are we coming from, redefine, remind yourselves of your purpose, your mission, your vision, and your KPIs, your key performance indicators. And how do you measure? Where are you and where do you want to go? We want to remind ourselves as we start off the new year. And I was quite excited to hear that all the bishops of the Church of Nigeria will be meeting on a few days retreat at the beginning of the year. For everybody to leave from all across Nigeria to gather in one venue. This is serious business. Very serious business. And I know you've chosen your theme. You are clear on what you want to discuss. I even had part of it at the sermon. Very revered Bishop, hammering on it. I think I had the issue of unity and that, and, bonding together, standing for one another, encouraging one another. Because they say if you want to go very far, you go alone. No, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together. Thanks for that message. But I also want to add, maybe as you reflect on that, this is a very trying moment for the Christendom generally. In Nigeria, and even more so in the southeast of Nigeria. The primate, you did mention about the pivotal role of this particular, especially the place where we are, the All Saints Cathedral, in the birth of the Anglican Communion, especially in the southeast of Nigeria. But the primate, you mentioned the very important statistics, which is 20 million registered Anglicans. It's the same way that you have 2.6, 2.7 billion people in the world who profess Christianity, which is about 32, 33% of humanity. And here in Nigeria, you have, well, depending on the number, people dispute whether you are 100 and something or thereabout in terms of Christians. But an important question that I will leave with you is that as you ponder these 20 million, that's those on the register, are they still there? It might sound a rhetorical question, isn't it? 20 million on the register, How many are there? And in the Southeast, this question is even much, much more pertinent. Because in the Southeast, particularly, the fastest growing religion today is idolatry. It's on the upsurge, massive ascendancy, and those populating it are the Christians, the Emmanuel, Christian. So even some of them answer Christian, but he's carrying his shrine, and so on. All over the bushes and forests, wherever these chaps are, the first thing they do is to have a massive shrine. Now, in every community, in Anambra, in Abia, in Imo, in Enugu, in Ebonyi, so on. Every community now, there is a massive resurgence. And one of the questions that I ask always, I said to somebody, I wish I had the time. I mean, I wish I was disposed and maybe somebody should supervise a PhD studying theology and all of this on this topic. Then the title will be, Why Do They Leave? I don't know if I'm communicating. Why are they leaving? In other words, since this is a moment of retreat, that the leadership of the Church of Nigeria must pose that kind of question. It's a time for introspection. A life unexamined is not worth living. At point, you must be able to re-examine your purpose. Are we still serving the purpose? Have our ways become in conflict with the purpose? Or do we have a defined purpose, but our means of getting there now in conflict and in contradistinction, that the people themselves see through it and they think this is all a joke and they are living? Very, very. Somebody says, people are saying the church and so on, religion has become business. The transactions have overwhelmed the transformations. Does the church still engage in evangelization? And so now in my own government, we'll be dealing with KPIs for each MDA, the ministries, departments, and agencies. What are the key performance indicators that the leadership of the church provides for the ministers of the church? In each parish, what are the KPIs? Is it the number of brick and mortar projects that are built? Or is it in terms of how many members who actually are on the register are still with you? How many persons who are non-Christians have been converted over the previous 1 year? Can we have it in the register as part of the KPIs for each parish? How many have left? Because, Your Grace, there is something dangerous that is upon us. The greatest threat that we face, I heard when the prayer was made about the release of our Archbishop, retired Archbishop, who was in captivity for a few weeks. In 2009, my 78-year-old father was kidnapped. After dinner, I went to his house in the village here. Before then, that same year, Tony Mas, the popular Tony Mas, was kidnapped. I think the next year, Poco Bros, and then GUO was kidnapped, I think, from here, from a church. This trend has continued. And if you look at the characteristics of the people doing this, now it's become an organized, lucrative business empire. with central command and control. And at the heart of it all is idolatry. At the heart of it all is idolatry. The church itself as an institution, when you now get to the place, we've now gotten to a position where these guys don't care about anybody, whether you are a primate, whether you are pope, or whether you are bishop, whether you are, because there is a clash of religion. They think you are the problem. The church is the problem, is the only institution standing between them and taking over the entire society. And I leave a message with you. When they were coming, they started off with a narrative in the Southeast. We are here to liberate you. The Fulanis are in the forests and everywhere about to envelop you. They will go to the checkpoints, kill the police, kill the soldiers, take over their AK-47,
Use them
and people will tacitly inside be happy because they are the liberators. They are supposed to be the liberators.
Yeah, what do you
Now, after they carry the AK-47, how do they feed the next day in the bush? Nobody asked that question. How do they continue to feed month to month, year to year?
You didn't ask that question when you get.
They have to feed. They have to survive. They have families. Now they come out to grab people because for ransom. And at the heart of it all is that the first thing they have there is their big idols, big shrines. Over the last 2 years or so that we've declared war on this, before I came, 8 local governments were under their total grip. We declared war on them. The number of shrines that we have had to burn down or bring down. And yesterday we had about 10.5 hours meeting. We're bringing out a new Homeland Security law. I want to assure you, the primate and bishops of Church of Nigeria, that the way we want to fight this war, it's not just carrying gun and so on and going to, for me, it's just 40% of the problem. The 60% is that if we don't collectively challenge and tackle the source of the warped ideology, the ideas that fuel this in the first instance, that continues to enable them to have continuous supply of young men going into the bush and wanting to carry arms to go on a kidnapping and so on and so forth, because it is now the most lucrative business in town. Nigeria published data that about 2.4 trillion was paid as ransom. Did you see that?
Thanks to you guys.
For every 1 naira published, we estimate that at least 5 naira was not reported. So if you multiply that by 5, you'll be getting more than about at least more than 10 trillion. Even oil block is not as lucrative. But there is something also fueling it. And this is where the church also comes in. When I ask why do they leave? The lucrative criminality, but also we now have a society where we celebrate something for nothing. Where even in Christianity, we now preach that you can have a crown without a cross. We tell people that you can have wealth without work. That God is a money doubler. Only pay your tithe and then you go and close yourself with blanket. God will quadruple it in 10 times. We're no longer telling people about responsible Christianity. No, it is the hard one. If we tell them no cross, no crown, then you will not be the popular priest. It's when you tell them, you know, a young apprentice, you'll become a billionaire by the end, or you say, yeah, I claim it. How? How? So the message, I'm just saying this because we are coming from various, and in fact, part of where we are going to head to. All these roadside pastors and churches and so on, preaching all of these
even
things.
the bigger ones.
You know, have people with this warped theology and Christianity and so on. This one and the other one. That, I mean, it's just the youths, 9 a.m., people are in the beer parlors drinking beer. But they expect to build a skyscraper tomorrow. How?
What
to hold people accountable. If you got wealth, people are displaying all manner of obscene wealth. And nobody asks again, what do you do for a living? A society where you no longer ask people, what do you do for a living?
No.
It's a society that has no future.
But
again, what I said to you as the leaders of the church, I wish I am not governor. I would have taken this almost like as a personal crusade. You know, because as you point one finger, you look back and you see the others pointing at you. I said, in about 2012, I addressed the Catholic Bishops' Conference. And I did make a suggestion. And everybody laughed. I said, you know, in the Catholic Church, we have this prayer against bribery and corruption. We pray it almost every alternate Sunday. The other one is prayer against for Nigeria in distress. I said, okay, now you have got the third liturgy. And this applies to all our Christian denominations. We used to have 4 parts of a mass. It's introductory rite, liturgy of the word, liturgy of the Eucharist, and then concluding rites. Those are the 4 parts. I said, you now have the third liturgy, liturgy of fundraising. Okay? Now, and that becomes the main part of most services. The part where we talk about money. And I said, can we be the judge that then says, okay, we'll pray against bribery and corruption. Then an officer, a government official, whose total monthly salary is not more than 200,000, comes to the church and makes a donation of 2 million. Or he shows up in church, whoever is presiding announces, now that we have this one has come, it means our problems are over. That was the day they are going to do special fundraising. And he comes and pledges 2 million. I will say, kneel down for special prayers. How is he going to get the 2 million? That's where it starts. And I did make a proposal. I then said, can we then lead by saying, okay, let's make a rule. If you are in public office, we're not going to accept any donation from you until you leave office. And 5 years after you've left office, everybody laughed. More like, how now? It sounds like a joke, but go to think about it. Today, during this season in the Southeast, bazaar all over the place. Who are the chairmen of the bazaars? This one has come down. So IK Malaysia. Peter of South. This one. What do they do? Even the ministers of God do not ask.
They don't care.
In my part of the world, we have a proverb that he who partakes of the proceeds of theft is also a thief. But we can no longer pretend and be saying, no, we don't know, we don't care. No, the society must care. Because this is at the foundation of the criminality that is ongoing. We celebrate wealth without work. And if the church continues to celebrate this, a society gets what it celebrates. And therefore, I'm only just throwing up something, Your Grace, that at your retreat. Because this thing, I feel so passionate about it. We're going out where we are going after all these Okite and Akwa Okoko and Ezenwanye and all of those. It's everywhere now. Just come, we'll give you this, you'll get money. We're not teaching people to work. How much do we do that? We launched asking people farm to feed. There was a time Nigeria was, they said they were having a hunger protest, that we're hungry. And we said, no, we can't. We must teach our people. We met with our youth and launched farm to feed. Akajaja, that's what we are standing in this part of the world. So please, while we go onto this retreat, since we are going onto retreat, that's why I'm raising these issues, that there are deeper existential threats. Deeper existential threats to the society itself, because we have put our values on upside down. And the church, as the last man standing, must not be seen to flow in that direction. Otherwise, there is no redemption. Otherwise, there is no redemption for society. The church must be able to stand up. We say it in Igbo. Na ikwu inyoro aro so ụmụnne ya kwebe egwu fasi atofia na ada ekwele ife ọjọọ egwu.
Welcome our brother CY Opala. Thank you for joining us. You see, the conversation we're having is that under Nina's campaign, there is no vacuum of governance. The people in Igbo language will say Ohaneze. The ruling and the ruled, we must join hands together to work towards our liberation, to end this oppression. We must work towards societal reform, reorganization of our society and communities. And how are we going to do that? By holding ourselves accountable. The religious leaders, the traditional leaders, the political leaders, we must hold them accountable. It's no more business as usual. You know what? You see what is happening in America as conservatives took over. They begin to mop up everywhere evil is located. Because anywhere you look is waste. Everywhere is wastage. And people are hungry. And we're saying we don't have enough resources because everything is leaking out. When they say devourer, when they say, oh, the church will lie to you, oh, bring your tithe offering so that they will rebuke devourer. If not, your basket will leak out. What they didn't tell you is that they are the devourers. They are the ones coming to steal, kill, destroy, steal everything that you have. So we must begin to hold ourselves accountable. Of course, since the church is the light of the world and salt of the earth, the assessment and judgment must start from the church institution. That is what Soludo is saying here. Of course, they are partners. We know that everything he's saying, that he's also guilty of it. Him and his political class. If in the world, we have 33% of the world population as Christians, and in Nigeria, 20 million, all Anglican only. So what are you doing with all that numbers? All these people that you gathered in millions, what have you done to them? Of course, we know. You brainwashed them with white Jesus and colonialism. That is why the people are there, looking well. So why is it that people are leaving the church? Because the church has failed them. Christianity failed them. Rather than light, we are seeing darkness. Rather than salt, we are seeing bitterness. And somebody said we should keep quiet. No, we are not keeping quiet. The church leaders teamed up with our colonizers and their political puppets to divide, conquer, and rule us. They have lied to our people. They have duped our people. They do not serve the purpose for which the people thought they were set up. They build massive cathedrals, auditoriums, rather than build people.
Clubhouse.
Exactly. All for money making. So as daughters of truth, we're saying, in reforming the society, we must begin to mop up evil in the land. My sister is okay, has put up these church leaders. You remember when they were telling you, PVC church, PVC Sunday, you must show PVC. And somebody will say, so that all that PVC that you did, what's the outcome? What happened? That is accountability. You, the people, need to go and hold these criminals accountable. The only people smiling to the bank are these criminals because they played you. Pastors are in partnership with the political class to bring false hope when there is no hope in Nigeria as presently constituted. This is the crime they committed. Are they confessing? Are they apologizing? No. They're busy going about gallivanting and having birthdays and having wedding anniversaries. Why are people dying in hunger? They're having fun and throwing wealth in front of you. What can you do? We need to judge and fight the ideology that is fueling criminality in our society. We need to begin from those who armed the criminals. We are seeing kidnapping, banditry, and everything. Who armed the people? How did we get here? Of course, the church. You see, I will pray. No, if you reduce it, I can read what is there. I will pray for the poor while holding all the gold inside this golden palace. The church stole all the wealth in the land into the institution for themselves and themselves alone, while our people beg them, give me Holy Communion, or Holy Communion, we call it, or Holy Communion. Come and be baptized. You pay, we baptize your children so that they will enter heaven.
And then you die. We can't bury you until we say so.
Exactly. You have to pay all your money that you're owing us before we can commit you to Mother Earth. The Mother Earth that does not belong to the church. The land belongs to the ancestral people, the indigenous peoples in the land. They are the owners of the land. But no, the church will not bury you and commit you to Mother Earth that does not belong to them, except you pay all that you're owing the church. Everybody will go and mop up everything. Even if one family member is owing. If your father died and your mother is owing, and your father is owing, everybody have to pay. Otherwise, the church will not come and bury your father and commit your father to Mother Earth. Criminal pastors of Nigeria. This is a comment sent to us. After making a large amount of money through Yahoo, cybercrime, or other kinds of frauds, or get rich quick without working schemes, or armed robbery, or kidnapping, or drug business, because they're into all this that we're mentioning, they clean up the criminally obtained money by becoming a pastor. So becoming a Nigerian pastor has become a way to launder dirty money. Remember, I told you that when you hear laundering, money laundering, they're washing the money. They steal your money, they wash it, and they become a good money. And they come back to the society and answer, Ezego, who created criminality? Who is arming the criminals that we are seeing in our society? Now that they've become a pastor, gullible dullards begin to call them man of God or woman of God and give them money under the name of tithes and offering. Give them more money. With all the money coming in, they begin to buy plots of lands after plots of land. They go into business, land, what do they call that? Land, buying land and properties. What do they call that?
Creating estates.
Creating estates. Only pastors and politicians, of course, another criminal group, have become the buyers of land in Nigeria. They build estates. You are watching this thing happen.
They're even buying lands here in the US.
Yes, everywhere.
All these Redeemed Church of buying land, and you have to be at the top of the church this thing for them to privy you to that information. We heard this from a bank manager that they came to about the land they were trying to sell close to where we are. She said, "Ma'am, they have lands everywhere."
You are watching this thing happen. They are robbing you. They are duping you. You are becoming poor. Wealth, of course, is transferring. It's transferring from
jobs.
you. Yes. It's transferring from you to the people, to the colonizers and their partners. And we have told you that the church, religious institutions, because we're not just, it's not only church, Islamic institutions, because they have their own assignments. But the most important thing is that wealth is leaving the indigenous peoples into the hands of criminals and their partners. And why they're doing that, the church is teaching you and celebrating wealth without work. So the ones that cannot get tithe and offering on top, they go into voodoo, shamanism. They'll tell you, bring pictures. Your brother is killing you. Your sister is killing you. It's your neighbor that did it. Bring their picture here so that we pray and then cast the voodoo. Jerieze, he said, bring all the pictures so that we tie them in the nights when you're supposed to be sleeping, dreaming, so that you have inspiration of how you're going to build your life. No, you'll be up like a witch in the middle of the night, praying in the more prayer. You're doing night vigil. When you finish night vigil on a Monday night, how useless are you going to be at work tomorrow? You see how unproductive you have become? You bring cross. These pictures came from one pastor that they busted whatever he was doing. See the cross there. We told you that these people are just voodoo people. They are looking for what we work. So if the voodoo, those people that we call traditional priests in those days, that they go and give pictures in the villages, inside bush. Oh, do this for me. So people are not going there anymore because people are moving into the church because people want to take condition and have fun. So they now packed their bush and brought the bush to the city. The traditional priests are now in town and they're answering pastors also. So they came with their properties. And who is going there? You. You see, all these things came from church. Our people, be careful. We are telling you, if you're a father, be responsible for your family. If your wife is not listening to you, divorce her. If your husband says he must continue to do all this nonsense and put the family down, divorce him and move forward. We're only saying do it in legal way, do it in a correct way. Marriage is not by force. But you know what? We must take charge. We must take charge of our spaces, of our homes, of everything. Enough of this madness. Of course, the politicians, they are the ones that arm the so-called freedom fighters. Yes, in Southeast, we are there where they were arming the Biafra agitators. They armed them, just like Boko Haram. Boko Haram and headsmen are being armed by northern politicians, of course, with their external helpers. It's the same thing. What you're seeing in Southeast is the same Boko Haram thing you're seeing. They warned us, yes, they say this thing you see in Boko Haram that you see in the north is going to get to everywhere in Nigeria because it's the same plan. And they will use the political puppets and their church partners to arm the children and kidnapping everywhere. They have one thing, is political talks that reason. So the politicians in the north armed Boko Haram, introduce Sharia law to win elections. It's the same thing. It's the same thing happening in Southeast. Politicians armed our youths so that they can use them as political thugs and they win elections. And then when they've armed them, the people are not returning guns, they begin to use it to kill and steal and destroy. Why the church is preaching to them? Yes, you can get rich overnight. Perfect combination. Society is crazy. Everything is running. Helter-skelter, trouble everywhere. So we must begin from what is fueling the criminality. Then begin to make a U-turn. According to Nina's proposition, it's time to take charge of our spaces. Anambra State, they're trying to do whatever they're doing. Others should continue to join. Responsibility and accountability. If you see something, say something.